What's up? Good morning, T-Tam fam. Eric here for Sunday, October 19th, 7 a.m. Eastern Time for The Truth About Me. This is a pretty good episode here. This day ahead is going to be a busy one, that's for sure. Before I get into the episode, just make sure when you wake up, you have a goal, you have a purpose. Start your day off right. Drink your water, get your breakfast in, get your fitness in, get your spiritual, get your praying in. That's what we'll be doing later in a few hours. And then after that, um, probably try to catch the local medieval fair. Today's the last day, and I think we're gonna try and hit that later on today. But let's get into it. Last week was about forgiveness, and hold on one second. Sorry. Last week was about forgiveness. This week it's about love. Giving, receiving, redefining it. We talk about love like it's a feeling, but real love, it's kind of lasts. It's a decision you make every single day. On this topic, because of how I grew up, where there wasn't the I love yous, there was really no accolades or minimal accolades, I should say. It took me an extremely long time to kind of define what love was for me, and how how I was able to accept it and receive it took a significant amount of trial and error because, you thought it was like, oh, you define, how I used to define love was through, approval, control, or survival, like, oh, um, you know, love for me wasn't a word that I grew up with. It wasn't a word that I heard constantly. Um, wasn't even a feeling, to be truthfully honest, because I didn't know, because it wasn't spread around, our family that much. So, um, as I continued to grow and go from childhood into, you know, adulthood, that was something that I didn't, again, it took me it took me a long time to kind of understand what it meant, and I still, to this day, am continuing to learn. First, I had to learn how to receive love. Talk about vulnerability and accepting love without skepticism or fear. Um, you know that that was non-existent. I grew up, in the fuck your feelings era of, as a man, you don't have feelings. You push it down, you get rid of it. You don't know how to do it. With men, the one of the big things between men and women is this: is men, think logically. Women are more emotional. Just in its simplistic version. So for women, love is a totally different animal than it is for guys. Um, it's just that, I mean, if you grew up in a family where, you were hugged, you were kissed, you were shown love, your love was talked about, yeah, I love yous, and they actually meant it for years. I can still remember when, um, time, and I forget the age. I think it was when my father had his first heart attack. He finally said, "I love you." And for me, hearing that was weird. That simple, because it didn't mean anything. And at that time, I think I was 16, 17. So think of it like that. You go your entire childhood not hearing that from your parents regularly, and then all of a sudden, boom, because something catastrophic happened. Now is the time to say it, but that's how they grew up. I don't think there was much of that expression in either side of my um, parents' upbringing. So therefore, they didn't know about it, and that's how they raised, our family was by going with what they know. So I don't, fully blame them because they're only going, but on how they, So, you know, I for the longest time I didn't think I could be loved, you know. And whether that was, from a family perspective or even as a, potential partner, because I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know how to navigate that. Um, you know, when you're receiving love, it doesn't mean weakness. You know, it means it's courage. So, as I've gotten older and, at the age where I am now, is I'm grateful for that. I am grateful for all of that comes my way, simply because I know it's genuine. Now I can sniff out, whether somebody means it or not. I'm pretty good, I can sniff out all the bullshit that comes down. But for me, it hits different when somebody I care about, um, says it, and it's genuine, because it hits different. And that took an extremely long time for me to kind of put my walls down and open up my area to um, receive love, because I didn't know. Now, giving love, that was, I used to do it, in my late teens, early 20s. Um, my idea of love was through, um, materialistic things. Wow, can't believe I'm struggling with that one. You know, I'd buy him this, I'd buy him that. Be like, hey, this is how I'm showing. But what I found out early on, and pretty quickly, is that it wasn't received in that way. And it really kind of broke me, because I didn't know. Like, here I am thinking I'm doing the right things, when in fact that's not what females at that time wanted. Some of them, they were all appreciative, but when it came to beyond that, it was just like, oh, we're just friends, So there's a lot of friend zoning, and that was bitter. I'm not gonna lie, but it took me some time to kind of go through that, and motor through that, and then I slowly matured, and I slowly evolved. Um, I've always been, the listener. I've always been the quote unquote shoulder to cry on. And it's fine, because I embrace that, because I've always been inquisitive about people, male or female, it doesn't matter. Um, and that was really kind of, taking their stories and, their situations, and seeing how I could help, and offer them advice, offer them, you know, I don't want to say service, because that's a poor choice of words, but something that could help them get through each and every day. So being understanding, less reacting, less performance, more presence, and this last one, presence, is something that I've adapted to over the course of the past 2 years, and that was not in my vocabulary until recently. Um, it's giving love now. I don't really do it with my family. Gonna be honest, because it's something that I'm always there for my family, and I think they know that. But in the same token, is you know it for us to give or receive love is difficult for all of us. At least that's my viewpoint on it. Like, always be there, if they need me. But in the same token, like, yes, of course, I love my mother. I have a huge amount of respect for her, and what she's done, what she's gone through, what she's done, and I'll always be there to support her, because she has supported me quietly throughout, and even though she wasn't able to express certain things, I forgave that a long time ago. So it's easy for me to, you know, go that route with my mom and my brother and sister. I have love for them, but then again, like we have our own relationships. Like we see each other when we can. We go to each other's events when we can, and that's really that. Um, but now with my daughter and having a daughter has shown me a different type of love. A love that I have to that I'm going to protect wholeheartedly. And, and it doesn't matter. Like, I look for nothing in return. And this is true with all of it. Um, like, I don't expect anything. Like, I just give and give and give simply because that's just the way that I am. And when it comes to my daughter, it's kind of the same way. And, trying to show her. I mean, fortunately, I'm very grateful that um, how she's grown up and what she's developing into as a young woman now. Um, well, I mean, she's still a kid, and but still, like um, how she's growing up is she has the biggest heart, and that's that's a blessing and a curse because she doesn't see things certain, because of how she grew up. She doesn't quite understand how other people grew up. So, and that's what she's learning right now is, um, how that occurs. And, she has a lot of, you know, qualities that I possess, and she has a lot of qualities that her mother possesses. And she's able to, kind of meld those together. And, some of it's really good and others it's not because she's very vulnerable. So, and then I will say with my girlfriend is, right now she has shown me something that I didn't think was possible, that had never been shown to me before in any relationship. And, that really, really kind of opened me up on how to receive it. Um, and it's taught me a lot over the course, over, the last, well, like almost 2 years. Um, Simply because, her listening, her understanding, her attentiveness, and then just her responses, are something that I hold, very, very close to my heart because I know her answers are genuine. I know her answers are real. And she is one that took me out of a quote unquote dark place because, and I mean that in, where I wasn't looking for anything. I wasn't looking for a girlfriend. I wasn't looking for a relationship. And the fact that it happened organically without all these, without online dating apps and, you know, friends of a friends of a friend type thing, even if that's still a thing. But, just kind of throwing every example out there is, to have that, she really, opened my eyes up to, how to show love and how to receive love. Because, again, coming from somebody that never received love was, you know, it feels good. And I'm forever grateful that, she has shown me that because now it has kind of given me a full understanding of um, how everything is. So, um, now we're gonna kind of get into like the redefining of love. Love is a daily commitment. It's just not emotion. Um, the importance of mutual safety, emotional honesty, and grace, and the peace that comes from loving without control or fear. So let's look back at the first statement that I said: love as daily commitment, not just emotion. Love isn't enough, especially when it comes into relationships. And that was one thing that I had learned a couple months ago. And, it's something that, you have to do it every single day. And you have to show it, and you have to be able to receive it every single day. It's not like, oh, it's random Wednesday. You know what? Let's decide we want to, show love, and then be like, oh, well, I did something. It's not a game. You know, don't treat this like a scoreboard. Like, oh well, I have five things I did for love today. Okay, you know. Oh wait a minute, they only did two. Oh well, I win, so I deserve the prize. No, get the scoreboard out of your fucking heads. Like it's not like that's not how it goes. In any relationship, that is. Do not keep score in anything. That is just setting you guys up to fail. Um, so just kind of sidetracked out of that, but it's true. Don't keep score. Relationships are about partnership. You know, um, you guys work together, and that's how it is. But back to mutual safety, right? That is, in today's day and age, is something that it's prevalent. You know, is making sure that your partner feels safe with you, not just physically, um, but emotionally. And you have to really tender that every day, almost every day, making sure that you're asking questions, making sure that they're giving you answers. Like the communication, like I tell you this, like in all honesty, like there's nothing more damaging than a non-communicative, communicative relationship. That's it. Excuse me, you're not going to get far at all if you're not able to communicate with your partner. You have to have those hard conversations constantly. You have to ask questions constantly. Why? Because you are going to learn every single thing about your partner every single day. It's going to be little by little. So always keep that in mind when doing that. And by that, you know, you have to remember that how you feel when you receive love or give love, it gives you that, gives you an inner peace, knowing that either you've shown the love or you're able to receive that love. And it's not making you fearful. It's not, making, I gotta control everything. No, don't. Just let it happen. Accept it. No matter what the situation is, accept it. Because that may be the only one you get for that day, right? So, definitely kind of, keep that in mind when you're giving and or receiving love. Because there is no better feeling, honestly. Like when you know somebody truly loves you for you. That's another thing I'm going to kind of, segue into is, be real, be honest, be yourself. Don't put on the facade, don't put on the mask, um, because it's just going to burn you later on down the line because now you have to keep up, quote unquote story. It's a lot easier to tell the truth and be honest rather than like be somebody whom you're not. So, um, yeah, that's one little bit of advice that I can kind of throw your way is that, accept it. But also, if it's something that displeases you, have a conversation about it. Don't be afraid. Make sure you talk constantly, ask questions. And if that person um, does not want to answer that or can't give you a solid reason, then are they your person? You know, because you should be able to have hard conversations at length if necessary, and are you have to have an open mind and understanding because you want to see it. Obviously, you're going to explain your side of it, and then excuse me, you can hear their side of it. But can you accept their answer if it doesn't agree with you? And that's one of the hardest things about a relationship is being able to accept the answer that's being given to one without being reactive, and two without being you have to have that non-bias approach. Um, and if you can do that, you will be successful because you now can have those conversations and get it out all on the table like that. I truly believe in just letting it out because that way your partner knows um, everything about you. They can prepare accordingly on how they do things, or they can say, hey, listen, this isn't for me, and you move on. Like there's good, there's positive and negative things, but then again, like if you get it all out there and you let them know how you're feeling, where your mind's at, to be honest, like that is, you know, you can't get any more clearer than that or more transparent than that, and that's, essentially what you want to be at. One thing I can say, love isn't about perfection. It's about showing up. It's what you choose, what you give, and what you allow yourself to receive, right? So, with that in mind, this you don't have to be perfect. You just have to show every single day. Show up every single day in what you do. And again, this, kind of falls into being consistent. Like I've said that ad nauseum, throughout a lot of my episodes here is consistency wins. Does. And the thing is you have to be disciplined enough to, stay the course in whichever way that you're going. And understand that this isn't a sprint, this is a marathon. So, kind of keep that in the back of your head that you don't have to get everything out, you know, don't have to get everything done or accomplished all in one day because it's not gonna happen. And give yourself that grace and allow yourself to, enjoy each moment as it comes. So the one question I have for the fam here is what's one thing that's helped you learn to love better? Drop it in the comments. Let me know. Um, with that said, in closing, this was episode 15. We got episode 16 coming up next week. Um, it's about, it's about connection and being connected. Love and individuality. So hopefully you guys tune in for that one. Um, next Sunday. That will be the 26th. So, but right now, this is a wrap on the 19th of October. I hope you guys enjoyed. Love to see your comments, love to see your feedback. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel because every Sunday there's these episodes that come about, and I love doing them. I enjoy doing it. This is a bit of a therapeutic avenue for me. Plus, it's something brand new because, as you can see, between the quality and some of the topics and how I talk, like this is realness. This is somebody who doesn't have any sort of team behind him. This is just a middle-aged guy that's laying it out on the line and hopefully just to change. Give at least one person that perspective and that hope, and to say, hey, listen, I'm not alone, because you're not alone. you know. So keep that in mind. And for that, I want you guys all to crush it on this Sunday. I got to get ready. I got the gym coming up in a couple of hours, and I got church thereafter, and then we'll see what the rest of the day brings. But till then, appreciate you stopping by. See you later.